1800s, Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope were two of the most prominent dinosaur experts. Cope and Marsh met as students and they started out as friends. Such was their bromance that Cope named an amphibian fossil after Marsh in 1867, and a year later Marsh named a new gigantic serpent after Cope. But then, drama ensued. Cope showed Marsh around the fossil quarry where he had discovered this serpent fossil, and Marsh secretly made an agreement with the quarry owner to have any newly discovered fossils sent to him. When Cope found out, he was furious. In haste, Cope rushed to publish findings on a new species of marine reptile that he discovered, but he made a mistake in reversing the vertebrae, and Marsh noticed and announced the error to everyone. Cope was humiliated. He quickly published a correction, but it was too late. Marsh later wrote, "His wounded vanity received a shock from which he has never recovered, and he has since been my bitter enemy." The Bone Wars mostly played out in the Morrison Formation, which is a unit of sedimentary rock that spans 8 states from Montana to New Mexico. The two paleontologists raced to find fossils with a gold rush-style mania. Marsh had spies, actual spies, track what Cope was doing, and they referred to Cope by the code name B. Jones. Published 76 academic papers. It wasn't to be outdone. In 1882, he wrangled a position as chief paleontologist of the newly formed US Geological Survey. He then used his political power to isolate Cope by cutting him off from government funding, which he needed to continue his work. Cope named a fossil after Marsh and his allies, which was not a Greek word as people assumed, but a combination of 2 English words, cope and hater. Apparently it was a particularly ugly small specimen. He still had his fossil collection, but Marsh wasn't done with him. He tried to take Cope's fossils, claiming they'd been collected with federal money and therefore belonged to the government. Cope wasn't having it. Turns out all this time Cope had been compiling records on Marsh for years. He had all kinds of saucy details on Marsh. Cope sent the document to a journalist at the New York Herald who wrote articles with headlines like, "Scientists wage bitter warfare. Battles of the scientific giants still being waged." Their fight was now public, and Marsh was accused of corruption, incompetence, and misuse of government funds. Congress investigated and they cut funding for the survey, dissolved the Department of Paleontology along with Marsh's job. Now, the paleontologists who had started out so successfully had terrible reputations. In 1897, Cope fell sick and he died alone at the age of 56. 2 years later, in 1899, Marsh died of pneumonia at the age of 67 with only $186 left in his bank account. Cope and Marsh's rivalry left behind so many bones that these became the foundation of modern-day paleontology. Charles Darwin himself wrote that Marsh's collection proved to be the best support of the theory of evolution. So that's the story of the Bone Wars.